And good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Welch. This is Politics Unplugged. And the big news this week, as the week wraps up, Senator Kyrsten Sinema's announcement that she is leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent. We'll be talking about that throughout the next half hour. But first up, Adrian Fontes used to run Maricopa County elections as the county recorder. Now he'll be in charge of elections for the entire state of Arizona after winning the race for Secretary of State. He joins us now to talk about all of that. First of all, thanks for coming on and congratulations on the victory. You're looking back now. We've had some time to reflect on this. What do you think? Why do you think you were successful this year?
Well, I think we were successful this year because a lot of Republicans, independents, and Democrats alike rejected the MAGA fascist ideology, this idea that your vote only counts if you do it our way. It's an anti-American position, and I think our election really showed that this is not the way Americans want their politicians to act. And I think that they spoke very clearly from all sides of the political aisle, and we're going to continue to use that bipartisan support to administer great elections for all Arizonans.
Now, you've got an interesting seat, interesting history. You've run elections on the ground there in Maricopa County. Now you're going to be taking the bigger view from, the Secretary of State's office. Still a lot of complaints about how long it takes to count votes in Arizona. And to be clear, this year was no different. I mean, in Maricopa County, the past several election cycles, it's taken about 2 weeks to count up the votes. And again, this year, again, it was almost 2 weeks. It was 13 days, actually. Right. The same as it was in 2020, the same as it was in 2018. Anyway, is there any ideas that you that you could work with county recorders on to speed up the process?
Well, the assumption in your question is that the process has to be sped up. You know, when John McCain was winning by 25 points, nobody cared because it was easy to call the race.
Yes.
And yet, at this time around, nobody really complained about Andy Biggs's victory or Ruben Gallego's victory. They both had very large margins. So the question really is this: do we really need to speed it up? Or are we going to continue to do this carefully, thoroughly, and with the participation of candidates and parties? And let's not forget, some of the folks that are complaining the loudest are the ones that caused much of the delay. When we heard candidates like Kari Lake and Mark Fincham saying, hold on to your ballots, wait till the last second, they're the ones that really caused a lot of the delay. So you can't create a problem and then complain about the problem. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But once we answer that question, if there's a real reason why we have to have quicker results other than just urgency, then perhaps we can work on it. But the counties need to figure that out. And as the Secretary of State, my job is to make sure to listen to county election officials, pay attention to what they think is the best ideas. We've already started that discussion a little bit, and I'm happy to engage them.
And I get the point you're making, but let's look at this in a business terms. I mean, obviously, in business, they always say the customer is always right. If the customer, in this case the voters, want quicker results, why not figure out a way to get that?
Well, at the end of the day, I don't know that the customers are willing to sacrifice accuracy, security, and thoroughness for a quicker result. We haven't, again, had that robust discussion for real yet. What we've got is a lot of folks like your guests that are come on later, pundits and reporters saying we need quicker results, quicker results. But when you get down and you ask the voters, they want it done right, and they want it done right the first time, which is what we have in Arizona and have had. So we just, again, have to have that discussion, and I'm willing to listen, not just to that discussion, but to proposed solutions that are good for the county election administrators, all to the same end, if that's where we really want to go.
So let's talk a little bit then about when you take office next month. What do you do day one? What do you do that first 100 days? What's the top priority under a Fontes administration on the 7th floor of the Executive Tower?
Yeah, well, again, the critical component here is going to be specifically where it comes to election administration is to get out to the counties, talk to the election directors, the recorders, and the supervisors who actually do the hard work of election administration, find out what resources they need. Look, and the Department of State here in Arizona has been starved of resources. Secretary Reagan, who I worked with when I was at Maricopa, she complained about tiny budgets. Former Secretary Hobbs, soon to be governor, complained about small budgets. We need to have a robust office to make sure things happen well. But at the same time, where business services are concerned, we need to make sure that where we're serving our businesses, we're operating at the speed of business, not just at the speed of government. So it's a multi-pronged approach that we're going to be moving forward with.
And speaking of that, you know, we're looking at the results here of the legislative races, and it does look like this legislature has gotten even more conservative. It's went even a little bit further right. We do know that Republicans are going to control both the chambers, the House and the Senate. They control the purse strings. Any concern on your part coming into this office that they may be looking to, you know, cut some of the money going to the Secretary of State's office?
Well, the voters in Arizona sent a very clear message when they gave us this divided government. Right, the legislature may have gotten a little more conservative, but that's not what happened in the governor's office. And so, incoming Governor Hobbs, who is a veteran of the legislature, knows how that works. She's going to have that veto pen, and if a lot of those folks want stuff done, they're going to have to work with her. And I think that balance is really what Arizona's voters are looking for. So some of the perceived hostility, I think, is going to end up getting worked out as we proceed through the legislative session. And I want to make sure folks know that I'm happy to work with all players to the benefit of all Arizona. That's my job.
All right. Thank you for coming on here. We're going to have to wrap things up there and leave it at that.